everyone, my name is REDRUP. This is the It's Not a Phase podcast. On this episode, I'm joined by solo artist Reece Young. Reece is one of the latest signees to join UNFD, so we talk about how he joined that label, why he's removed his older material online, the value in collaborations, his changed approach to features, learning to embrace achievements, and much more. Before we get into the chat, please consider doing me a huge favour and supporting the podcast if you enjoy it. It takes just a few seconds and it's completely free. You can hit subscribe or follow wherever you're listening to or watching this. Leave a review or a comment. Give the podcast a follow on social media. And if you do want to go the extra mile, there's a Patreon and there's a web store too. You can find the links to everything that you need in the description, or you can head to itsnotaphase.co.uk. And now, here's my chat with Reece Young. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me on this episode of It's Not a Phase, where I'm joined by Reece Young. How's it going, man?
Great, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, dude, of course. So yeah, I mean, people, well, you're a relatively new artist, so there'll be a bunch of people listening who don't quite know who you are and what you're all about. So I thought maybe to begin with, let's kind of go back to the beginning a little bit. And yeah, what was your musical upbringing like? Were your family musical at all? How did you kind of get into that kind of thing?
Yeah, my dad and my mom are actually tone deaf, so but my mom like actually tone deaf. I think they would get diagnosed. But my mom was a dancer, so she kind of sparked the performance like bug in me. I think that's kind of how it went. But just kind of grew up living in New Jersey and going to a bunch of shows and kind of just saying I wanted to do that for myself one day. And that's kind of how I got here.
Right. I take it by the dancing that your mum was doing. It wasn't like hardcore dancing or moshing or anything like that. Something a
No,
bit
yeah, she was a
traditional.
she was very much a ballet teacher, so it was a little different, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit different. And well, what kind of like music were you into then? What kind of, I guess, bands got you into the scene or albums that particularly kind of put you on that direction?
Yeah, I guess growing up in New Jersey, it was tough not to be a My Chemical Romance fan when I was younger. So,
Yeah,
they were like that was Three Cheers and Black Parade were pretty big for me, and Fall Out Boy as well was really big back then. Um, Paramore and whatnot, and that whole thing. But My Chem really broke me into the emo rock scene for sure.
yeah, yeah. What would you say is your favorite My Chem album then? Because I guess most people would go to Black Parade, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'd go Three Cheers for sure.
Yeah,
That's my favorite. I just think they got the best songs on there. Obviously, Black Parade's like one of the best rock albums like ever, so I
yeah,
can't really knock it. But I love that album. But for me personally, I think Three Cheers.
yeah. I think I'm on the same boat as you. Like, I mean, as a concept and as a, like an album in full, I guess, objectively speaking, Black Parade is better, but
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I just think Three Chairs is just better songs and but at least for my taste anyway. So
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
so obviously you're like a solo artist, but were you many bands before you started doing music on your own? Were you in bands in high school and stuff like that?
I actually played hockey. So yeah, I have a weird story, but I played hockey in high school, and it was like my junior year when I kind of realized I wanted to try and figure music out, and ended up going to college in Nashville, which is where I really found kind of my crew here and my band and everyone that I had to I essentially was starting from scratch in college, so I'm pretty new
Right.
still. And definitely grateful for how far we've gotten in such little time.
Yeah. So what did you do in college then? Did you do music? How did you kind of learn how to make music?
I majored in music business.
Right.
So I got like a business degree and then like learned the ins and outs of the money making part of everything. And along the way I met a lot of like-minded people that just kind of like collaborated with for so long while we were all terrible at music, and just got better alongside of my friends, and one thing led to another and we signed to UNFD last year. So it was like it's cool. It's cool to see the growth.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads me on to what I wanted to ask you next, because you have been putting out music for a good few years now, but I guess it seems like things that are pre 2021 are pretty hard to come by if you look for them online.
Yeah, I pretty much wiped anything pre 2021 from existence as best I could. 'Cause it was terrible for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Um So, but you got to start somewhere.
Exactly. I guess like at least in your eyes, if you're like 100% happy with them, at least it was you kind of I don't know, like cutting your teeth, kind of like getting to grips of how to make music and also the music that you actually want to make.
Exactly. Yeah, it took me a minute to find kind of the sound. And honestly, like I feel like the past couple years was when I really dialed in on it. But before that was pretty shocking to listen to. So I hope you never find those.
Yeah. Well, I guess as well, like if you're not really happy with them, obviously it's entirely your decision to get rid of your music. But I guess part of it is also that you don't want people to find one of those songs, I guess, as like the first thing they ever listen to by you. And it's like, well, this isn't a true representation of who I am and what
Yeah,
I've
that's
evolved
the
into.
exact yeah, the exact thought process was I
Yeah.
don't want someone to stumble upon that and be like, this is what their new signing sounds like. This is terrible. So that was the goal with getting rid of all that stuff.
Yeah. So how did the signing with UNFD come about? Like, did they come to you? Did you go to them? How did that all happen?
So that my producer that I work with in Nashville actually had another band that was signed there already, and we did a song with Kane Hill, and he posted it on his Instagram story, and the girl who runs the label just swiped up and was like, "This is cool. Who is this?" And we got to talking, and like a couple months later, ended up signing there. So it was pretty cool, pretty natural.
Yeah, it just seems kind of very fluid and just like doesn't sound very like a corporate way of doing it. Or like you have this kind of idea of like these label deals where they send you like all these documents and you sat in this room with like a board of people. But yeah, that sounds very
Yeah,
kind of just
very
chilled.
much the opposite. Yeah, very like down to earth group of people over at UNFD, and
Yeah,
good home for me. So.
yeah. So is that song you mentioned there with Kane Hill, is that Endless Riots? Is that the
Yeah,
title?
that's that
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I saw that hit, was it 1 million streams not too long ago, which is
Yeah, that was
crazy
cool.
numbers.
Yeah, that was my first one that did that. So it was cool. It's weird living in Nashville because there's a lot of people doing music and a lot of people that have bigger numbers, and it's hard not to compare yourself. But I'm slowly learning to kind of celebrate the cool shit. And that was one thing that was pretty cool. So I used to
Yeah.
not even be able to get over 1,000 streams. So 1 million's pretty cool.
A win's a win, man. Like you
Yeah.
take some. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta take them, dude. It's crazy.
There'll be so many. Like I know, obviously, it's so easy to kind of get in your head, especially when you're like like you say, comparing yourself to these other artists that are doing all these different things and hitting milestones themselves. But there's going to be so many bands and artists out there that would dream to hit 1 million. So the fact that you've done it is just, yeah, incredible, man.
It is cool. Yeah, it definitely puts it into perspective. I'm always kind of focused on the next thing. So it's my therapist is hard on me. So she was telling me to kind of lock in and enjoy it for a second.
Yeah.
But hopefully we have a bunch that hit 1 million. So we'll see. But it is cool to get the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one of many, man. That's what you got to
Appreciate
think
that.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of the mindset, isn't it, of a lot of people nowadays. I think it's just the society of now, like you achieve these things and it's so you've hit like this mountain peak and you should like just, kind of embrace that at the moment. But so often it's just like, right, I've hit this peak, and then you look up and you see this other mountain peak. Oh, I want to hit that height now. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's borderline unhealthy. I wouldn't even say borderline. It's definitely unhealthy because
yeah,
if you do something cool, you should feel like it's cool. But yeah, it's an interesting time period with social media and everything, and how important numbers are and just shit like that. So I'm trying to just really focus on not focusing on it for
yeah,
a change.
yeah. Easier said than done sometimes, but yeah. All you can do is
Yeah,
try, man.
yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. So what do you think it is about Endless Riots that's kind of like gravitated so much to hit that kind of milestone?
I think having Cane Hill on it definitely helped. They're mad because it's still in their top like two songs on Spotify,
Right.
and I don't think Wit, like the singer, got permission from the rest of the band to do the feature, so
Oh,
he's not allowed to do features without asking them anymore.
oh
Because
God.
yeah, he gives me shit for it, but he's been awesome. He's been like a older brother since I got to meet him about and kind of just give me some advice and everything on kind of the game I'm getting into. But yeah, that song's cool. It's a cool little song. It's got a catchy hook, so I guess people just really fucked with it, which was awesome. It caught the Spotify algorithm um like a couple months after I put it out and just
Yeah.
didn't really stop, which was sick. Um But in this day and age, just kind of like throwing a bunch of darts at the dartboard and seeing which one lands the closest. And this is the closest one we've gotten to a bullseye so far. So just
Yeah,
gonna keep trying to find those.
yeah. I think that's good to think of as well, like, isn't it? Because I guess when you put out a song or people like put out content or anything like that, they kind of want the success to come right away. But you just said
Mhm.
there, like, it got picked up like two months or so after the song came out.
I think so, yeah, I think it was later. I think it was like 4 or 5. And just
Yeah.
randomly, like I noticed it just started to pick up. So and it started to hit, like the Spotify, like the radio and everything, like the random
Oh
like
yeah,
deep.
yeah, yeah,
So it started to get on there and I guess do pretty well. So it just kept getting fed. But yeah, when it came out, it was just kind of like shrug. So it's cool how that worked.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you mentioned that you worked with obviously Kane Hill on that track, and you've done quite a few collaborations over the past few years. So you had like Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath, you've had Jaden from Silo as well. Um, At what point do you think, when you're making a song, at what point do you think it's a good time to then maybe bring someone on board to kind of collaborate on that track?
It was kind of, if I'm being like completely blunt and honest, it was just kind of like I had those features come on in a different headspace than I'm in now. I think it was kind of me just looking for numbers,
Right.
and I think that's kind of the backwards way to do it. Now it's just I just like when I did that song, I was like the when I did Endless Riots, I was like, damn, this would be really cool if I had Wit from Kane Hill on here screaming at the breakdown instead of I want to get Wit from Kane Hill on here because his band has XYZ following.
Hmm.
So I do kind of regret having Aaron and Jaden on there at the time I did for the reasons I did. Um, but going forward, I'm really excited about the music that we're working on now, and there's a couple of features lined up that I'm pretty stoked on. So, and they feel like necessary to the song,
Right.
uh, which is the goal going forward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess you want to aid the actual song and bring something to the song that kind of elevates it to that next level, I guess.
Yeah, not just doing it for the numbers. I'm which was what I was doing. So I'm
Yeah,
done with that.
yeah. Well, I don't expect you to mention the kind of collaborations you've got in the pipeline already, but do you have any dream artists that you would love to work with in that kind of space?
Um, 21 Pilots would be a big one for me. I love them. And Bring Me the Horizon, which is like everybody's answer right now, but I've just been a fan of theirs for so long, and it would be pretty surreal to get recognized. I really like John Bellion too. He's like just the way he produces and writes everything nowadays is pretty sick. Yeah, I there's a long list of kind of idols that I had. So
Right.
yeah, hopefully we keep growing and people start to reach out.
Yeah. And when you do have those like collabs come on board, like how much, I guess it's obviously varies song to song, but how much does the song then kind of change? Do you give them like the lyrics and then they sing the bits you've kind of put together, or do they have a bit more of an involved position in the song?
Yeah, I like to, I mean, if I'm collaborating with somebody, I really want it to be like a collaboration. I don't really want it to be like, here's lyrics I wrote, you sing them, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so with Wit and everything, like I left the verse open and I was like, hey, dude, like this is kind of what I'm thinking, but I want you to do your thing because you got where you are for a reason. And I would be curious to see what you come up with. So he came up with his verse and we wrote it together. Um, but it was like, that's kind of my preferred method.
Right, right. Well, it's strange because I think if you look back maybe 5, 10 years ago, for some reason, like in the world of like alternative music and heavy music, there seemed to be like this kind of, I don't know, like having a feature was like taboo. It was like
Hmm.
something that was just like kind of frowned upon by a lot of people.
Hmm.
Whereas like if you look at nowadays, like it seems far more acceptable and kind of like approved, I guess, by like the gatekeepers. But
Right,
I
right.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what you think about that. Why that would have changed over the course of the few years.
I don't know. I think streaming has a big thing to do with it. Like just having somebody hop on your song and exposing yourself to their fan base is huge. People want that too. And if you do it right, I mean, I never understood why it was frowned upon. I think if you do it right, it's really cool to see some artists come together and work together that you look up to. So
Yeah. Yeah, it always brings like interesting kind of meld of sounds that you probably would have never have heard of if that collaboration never happened. Like that's the whole
Right.
point, right?
Yeah, yeah. If it's cool, man. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you mentioned before that you kind of got other stuff in the pipeline that you've been working on that's kind of, tinkering in the background. And obviously you've also got, the handful of tracks you put out so far. Are these kind of build into something a bit bigger? Is like an EP or an album kind of cooking in the background?
Yeah, we have the EP that the singles that I've been putting out on UNFD. The EP comes out in August. And right after that, I mean, I just finished tracking the second EP or so.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready to rock for the rest of the year. It's just a matter of when they want to put it out. Um, so yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm stoked on the stuff we just did. It's like the craziest, most exciting things I've done. The songs coming out in August are cool, but definitely looking forward to the rest.
You're steaming ahead.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We're getting it done while I can, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just strike while the iron's hot, I guess.
Yeah, I like to stay ahead of the game so I can stay fresh.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of music like quite quickly then, or is it kind of like do you get writer's block very often, or is it just kind of you always kind of got something cooking in the head?
Yeah, I pretty much have ideas all the time, but I like to keep at least I'd like to do 5 songs at a time, 4 to 5 songs at a time, just to keep it relatively fresh. I'll do like 4 to 5 songs every like couple months,
Okay.
um, in one sitting, um, which is not what everybody does, I guess, but I like it that way. Just in and I'm really focused on doing just EPs for now anyway.
Right.
So I don't really think there's an audience for full records yet for me anyway. So I might as well just put songs out and show people what I'm about until then.
Yeah. Is that something that you would want to do though? You want to do an album when you feel like the time is right?
Yeah, one day that would be awesome. I mean, I think we would do a really good job too. So it's just a matter of when it makes sense. Because albums are expensive and uh I don't quite have the audience yet that I would want for an album
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah, they're not cheap, and yeah, I guess as well, we kind of touched on like the way that the market is now, where it's like people are focused on like singles and EPs and that playlist culture, I guess you could call it. And
Mhm.
yeah, I guess you don't want to put out a bunch of songs that some of them might potentially just be overlooked other than by the diehards. And
Yeah, no, it's if I put out a full album, like it just wouldn't like all at once, no singles, it wouldn't do anything for me. So um it's just kind of about the slow build over time.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure with like with the new signing onto the label as well, that's only going to help build that kind of foundation for you to get to that position.
Yeah, it's cool. We're still, I guess, relatively pretty new there. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah. So what else have you got planned for 2024 so far? Then obviously you mentioned that you've got an EP coming in August, and then there's also already another EP kind of working in the background there. So what else is coming up?
Yeah, so the other one will be out before the end of the year too. And then
Okay.
we go on a little like 4 date run in the southeast of the US where we live, with this band Levels that's signed to Sharp Tone. And we'll do that. And then hopefully there's a couple things lined up that aren't set in stone for the fall and winter, just to kind of tour the US, supporting slots. And as we put the new music out, and the last one got on Octane, so that kind of got our foot in the door there with that one, which was awesome. Um, Hoping to keep that momentum going forward. But yeah, excited for the future and just trying to learn not to get too down on myself with all the comparison opportunities out there.
Yeah. Like I say, easier said than done, man. But you just gotta once you get those wins, you just gotta kind of focus on those wins, man. I think that's the way
Yeah.
forward.
I like to have my little self-isolation time where I just kind of sit in my room and with my cat and play PlayStation and kind of tune out from the world.
Yeah.
But I've learned that I really need those days because, dude, it's fucked up. I mean, just trying to explain, like, I have a little cousin that's trying to do music and he's really bummed about just certain things. And I'm just like, dude, it's like, if you love it, you love it. You got to keep reminding yourself that because you'll eat yourself alive on Instagram and TikTok and everything, just seeing all these other people do what they're doing. It's
Yeah.
just, you love it and you get good enough, it'll work out. So, trying to do it the right way, trying to build the foundation the right way and see where we go. People seem to like it when they find it, so we're just gonna keep holding on to that belief.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think this industry as well, like the music industry, just because it's so competitive as well, like it's just hard to not be in that mindset sometimes, like looking at
Mhm.
what everyone else is doing and what they're getting and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, it's not healthy, but it's something that you kind of have to work with. So
yeah. You mentioned that you use like playing on the PlayStation to kind of like unwind. What games are you playing at the moment?
currently I'm playing a lot of Sea of Thieves with my
Oh, okay.
friend. It's a lot of fun. I'm live in Nashville, but I'm from Jersey, so all my friends are back home. A lot of my friends are back home, and it's kind of the best way to connect with them is just hop on and play games. And it's a nice way to talk to the kids that I don't really live around anymore. But yeah, we're playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
I don't think I've ever played that. Like, I don't know.
It's a good time. It's like a open world. You're a pirate, and
Right.
you have a pirate crew with your boys, and it's like game chat too. So
Okay.
and proximity game chat. So like when you get closer to other people, you start to hear them, and then like you're like, oh shit,
Oh,
yeah.
so it's kind of like I don't know. I'm way off here. Kind of like a pirate Call of Duty kind of thing, or Grand
Essentially,
Theft Auto
yeah.
or something.
Call of Duty was like open world. It's like kind of pirate GTA. I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to
So
check that out. Yeah.
yeah, it just hopped. It was like PC and Xbox exclusive for so long, and it just hopped over to PlayStation. So we're giving it a whirl.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm doing the remastered Tomb Raider trilogy at the moment because
Oh,
I played
nice.
them when I was a kid, so just nostalgia. I
Yeah.
guess.
No, yeah, no, that's I love when like I just did the remastered Fallout 4 too when the show came out and
Okay.
everything. I was running that. But yeah, big into just playing video games and let my brain numb.
Yeah, you got to do it sometimes. Like, I just want to unwind sometimes because life's just constant sometimes, isn't it? So yeah,
Oh yeah. Couldn't
yeah,
agree more.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks very much for your time, Reece. Really appreciate it. It's really exciting all this stuff that's coming up in your life. Two EPs on the way as well. That's just insane. So looking forward to hearing that. Before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, any final words? Anything you want to say or plug? Floor's yours.
Yeah, go to therapy. It's good for you.
Wise
Everybody.
words, man. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was nice to
yeah.
meet you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, we appreciate it. If you ever come on over to the UK, then yeah, hit me up, man, and we'll grab a beer or something.
Absolutely, dude. See
Cool.
you later.
Yeah, take care of yourself. And that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in to It's Not a Phase. If you enjoyed this episode, then don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Leave a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Follow the podcast on social media, and maybe even join the Patreon or grab some merch from the store. You can find everything that you need at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. Thanks again. Hopefully catch you on the next one. And remember, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.